Welcome everybody to for tuning into the junior finals here on Runeterra Academy. I am Sun Praising. Alongside me with Tiger, and we got the matchup between OMT Chronos and No Org Frost in what will be, until further notice, the final Runeterra Academy branded cast ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey over these past, I don't know, it must be about 9 months now that it's been going on. I've been here since the beginning, season one. We've had the same team here with OMT Chronos, as they are now known. This is the same roster that's been here at the top of the table since season one. The new challengers of season 3 coming into the finals are No Org Frost, certainly a formidable roster as well. So I'm very excited for tonight's matchup and deciding the ultimate eternal champion of Runeterra Academy Junior Division.
Yeah, and in terms of matchups, I quite like what we've been thrown today, because we have two very different looking teams, at least as whereas they like to throw a lot of their resources to. OMT Chronos very heavily favoring their solo laners of Kinrick and Eagerblender. Meanwhile, Nowhere Cross tend to prefer playing around the bottom side of the map. DM4 Scholarship was rank 2 in the ADC role this last split.
Yeah, absolutely. A clash of styles going on here. But I think that when I see these two teams, the most standout players on both of them are definitely in that jungle role. I think that we'll be looking to see a lot of carries coming out there. Of course, we know about Acid, Kha'Zix, and whenever we see Chronos playing, it's always a debate about whether the strategy is going to be try to ban out all the junglers possible to get Acid on a lower tier champion, or if you're going to just go ban out some other roles, because you know that no matter which champion Acid gets, he's going to be good. But on the other side, Packapal liking to play the Lilia as well, some Shyvana and Viego. So I like the champion pools here in the jungle, and I think that we'll see some contesting over especially the Lilia potentially.
Yeah, Lilia Kha'Zix, I would be surprised to even get through the first round of bans in any of these upcoming games. But outside of that, Packapal, I mean, how many? I didn't get the exact number, but he's played so many different unique champions at the this last split in playoffs. It's I mean, he even just picked up Shyvana last week in terms of at least in this competitive play in this last split. So on one hand, you say, oh, well, maybe you could ban him out, but this dude's pulling out new picks all the way in semifinals. So I like the confidence and the adaptability. There we go.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that when I am, we're waiting for the draft for a little bit longer, so we got a little bit longer to talk about these teams. One thing that I took note of when I was doing some of the prep was that Night Creed has played a very similar style of champions, but has played a lot of different champions on that engaged tank sort of look. So I kind of like the variation there. It gives a little bit of flexibility in the draft, because you're going to get a little bit of a different effect depending on whether you go with like a Nautilus versus a Thresh, a Blitzcrank. You could even flex more towards an Alistar sometimes. And each of them bring different things to the table. Like Blitzcrank, definitely the strongest hook for just picking off an individual. Nautilus has a lot of great team fight abilities and can go in as the frontliner. Nautilus probably one of the most classic picks as far as competitive play is going. But I definitely like that Alistar, especially given the flexibility to go for some of those counter engages.
Well, we'll have to wait through this first round of bans, as we've got started now. A bit of a late start, but we're all ready to go and quickly away. We see Kha'Zix already taken off the board, and honestly, we're I don't think anybody should be surprised by that.
No, I definitely think that Kha'Zix is a must ban. We've seen the Kha'Zix played here by Acid, but I'm hoping to see a diversity of bans on the rest of the front, and we're seeing the Syndra ban here against Egro Vendor. So I like what I'm seeing so far from No Org Frost. They're moving through the bans pretty quickly here, so I feel like they've come in with a solid game plan. They know what they're going to try to do here in game number 1 to get themselves the early advantage. But OMT Chronos banning out a couple of AD carries here. So I'm going to try to set Brooks up with the most advantageous matchup possible. And it's going to be the Nautilus here for Thereby also.
Yeah, Nautilus definitely played a lot by both Thereby also and Night Creed, so it's not too surprising there. However, one thing to mention is that Lilia did make it through the first round of bans, so that Comfort Champion, the one time, I believe it was around like week 5-ish that we got to see Pack-a-Paul go off on that Lilia, but it's not going to be picked just yet as Braum and Ahri are the first 2 lock-ins for No Org Frost.
Yeah, I think that the Braum into Nautilus matchup is pretty decent. Braum also has a lot of good pairings with certain AD carries, so I'm really interested to see what No Org Frost is going to pick up here for DM for Scholarship. They're going to put a little bit of a pause on that, though, potentially here, going to look towards that Scion that Gas Dealer has been known for so much throughout this split. Kind of surprised, honestly, that I didn't draw a ban, but we'll see if Gas Dealer can show us why Scion has been the top pick for him all split long. And the Mordekaiser is going to be pretty exciting from Kenrick as well. So we're seeing the top laners on both of their most potent champs, in my opinion, as far as I've been able to see these 2 teams play.
Yeah, and from what we've really seen, I mean, Gas Dealer obviously faced a ton of Scion bans as well as played it at every last opportunity. But I do actually kind of like, at least from a compositional standpoint, of Mordekaiser, as since really, I mean, Ahri, Braum, Scion, not exactly the longest of range champions, and really Mordekaiser, he starts really going off when the enemy walks into you and you're able to get that passive up just as long as possible. But perhaps we can see a potential shift as Lucian makes sense in terms of the bot lane matchup is taken off by OMT Chronos.
Yeah, we've actually seen some Lucian played in the past by Hostile Takeover, but with the Ahri pickup here, that definitely would only be pertinent to bot lane Lucian, most likely, unless you add some weird shenanigans with the Scion flex to jungle. But Lucian Braum is a very classic combo, so not surprised to see that taken away here. But once again, we're getting into that area where Acid champ pool being pinched a little bit. I see that the Gwen is still open, which has been a pick that Acid has gone too often, but the Lilia also being left on the table, so these junglers have some of their power picks still available. Going to be the Wukong locked in here, could be flexed. I believe it should be Pack-a-Paul, though, that's going with the Wukong, since we already have that Scion in the top lane for Gas Dealer.
Yeah, I would imagine it would have to be, and I know Wukong, I don't know if it's this current patch that he got the buff to his dash where it can now go over walls. Was that this patch, or is that like a PvE sort of thing? Kind of all gets jumbled up in my head, but I'm not sure if you know or not.
Yeah. I have heard things, but I haven't actually seen it in action yet. But I believe that you're right, that it's either this patch or next patch. We'll hopefully get to see it here from Pack-a-Paul, but it's going to be the Ezreal locked in for Brooks. That's been the most common pick in this split. Definitely makes a lot of sense if you're going the direction of focusing more on the solo laners. Ezreal a little bit better at sustaining himself in lane than a lot of champions, and that also unlocks Thereby also to roam So we'll see if he's going to use that Nautilus to get out onto the map, try to assist Egrobender and Acid where they may go. And it's going to be the Gwen here, locked in for Acid. I believe the #1 most common pick of the split for him. So definitely going to be in the realm of comfort, despite the 6-7 jungle bans that came in ahead of time. But the Samira locked in for DM for scholarship, so that's definitely a big carry pick there as we see the draft rounded out.
Yeah, I don't know if I particularly like Samira in terms of a champion in recent patches, but I do know that DM for scholarship, when he hasn't been on Jinx, Samira has been like the second go-to, and I know Samira released to great fanfare, but hasn't quite really been at that level of priority since then. So it'll be great to see how he can pilot this champion, especially with the short range into, well, Mordekaiser Vex might prove to be a little bit difficult coming up in this game, but comfort's always something you can't rule out, and especially for someone who is as good as DM for scholarship, I think that he could definitely navigate it given the situation.
Yeah, I think that this is almost a perfect situation to be playing Samira, actually. I mean, when you look at the two team comps that we've got here going on, it's a bunch of engage coming out from No Org Frost, right? You got the Scion, you got the Wukong. Braum can even do it to some degree as a secondary engage, especially with that Glacial Fissure. But at the same time, you're talking about up against like a Nautilus, a Vex, an Ezreal. These are a lot of projectiles that you're dealing with. And what's good against projectiles? That's right, a wind wall. And Samira has one of those. So especially because of that matchup against the Nautilus, I think that's in particular going to be a helpful tool to have. Avoid getting knocked up by the depth charge. Also, that can be blocked by Braum's Unbreakable, so kind of got a double whammy there of the wind walls in the bot lane. Going to be making sure that none of these longer range projectiles are going to be finding the CC. So I think that Samira makes a whole lot of sense here, and it just helps even more that DM for scholarship is so proficient on the champion.
I just think it's hilarious that every single new ability that a champion gets that deflects projectiles is automatically called Wind Wall. I understand why, but it's just something that crossed my mind. But yeah, definitely the ability to block a few of those projectiles coming through, especially the depth charge on Nautilus being as telegraphed as it is going to be. Something very massive coming up in this match. But as we approach the spectator delay, Tiger, who do we have written down for game one?
Well, I am a pretty big fan of the comp here from No Org Frost. I have my concerns for the comp here drafted by OMT Chronos. I think that they're a little bit lacking in physical damage, especially on the top side of the map. I think that going for some MR is going to be quite beneficial for Pack-a-Paul and Gas Stealer here. But that being said, OMT Chronos, a very talented team, and has proven that they're at the top of the stack time and time again. I have game #1 here, slightly favored towards No Org Frost just based off of the draft, though.
Well, you hear that? That's our not quite professional opinions, a semi-pro opinion from Great Tiger. But do be sure to get in the 1960 RP raffle in there for 1,000 channel points, and perhaps a few predictions in there to get more points to help with that raffle. But until then, we are going to throw it to the spectator delay. When we get back, we will see game one between OMT Chronos and No Org Frost for these junior finals. Don't go anywhere. loaded onto the Rift for game 1, and straight away, we might be getting some level 1 shenanigans from No Org Frost. We got a 5-man stack in this push here, planning for maybe an invade.
Yeah, I think that they're just stacking up to make sure that they don't get hit by the Nautilus hook. I think that that's always a threat that you have to be aware of in a situation like this, especially you don't want to have the early game start off on the wrong foot. But they're also busy typing in the all chat, so I think all is well here. Not going to have too many shenanigans going on early on, but let's take a little bit of a look at the runes and summoner spells. We've got Ignite for E-Girl Banner is going to be looking to get some of these kills early on in the laning phase, I'm sure. Same goes for the Saucy Moss, and even on the side of No Orc Frost, their bot lane is going with the Exhaust Ignite combo, so they're going to be looking mostly just trying to pick up as many kills and put as much pressure in that bot lane as possible. As we talked about at the beginning, you mentioned that that was their strong spot, and that's where they're playing towards.
Yeah, DM for Scholarship was one of the best ADCs this whole split, and they're definitely showing that bit of confidence that they have with the exhaust selection, and I really like this exhaust selection, especially since the amount of burst that OMT Chronos do have, especially for these later fights. Think like Mordekaiser. The Vex can also do a bit of damage really fast as well. So I do really like this, and especially with how much kill pressure they should be able to maintain early on here. I believe it'll get a lot of value out of that summoner spell.
Ooh, got some deep trading already going down in the mid lane. I think that one other thing that I wanted to take note of is I always do my Conqueror check to see just how out of balance that the rune is. Only 4 Conquerors this game, so you can tell that it's just about the right balance. You always can see that Conqueror has a major part of the meta game, so especially on these champions that want to go in and do damage but be tanky at the same time in the front line, makes a lot of sense. So I definitely am not surprised to see that. We're
having a gank coming through to the mid lane. Here comes Pack of Ball. Charm will land. Eagle Bender getting Saucy Moss really low, but it won't quite be enough as First Blood will go over to Pack of Paul and No Org Frost.
Yeah, they're already off to a good start.
Oh wait, hold on, straight into the bot lane, thereby also going to catch out DM for Scholarship, level up. Arcane shift forward from Brooks, picking up 1. Night Creed now getting very low. However, here comes Pack Ball, hops away. Perhaps only 1 or 2 more auto attacks would be enough, but gets out of range and will stay alive just for now as that support.
Yeah, it was nice of Pack of Paul there to block that Mystic shot. Could have been enough damage to finish off Night Creed, you don't know. So, gonna play it out safe, but a kill going down, so thereby also finding the hook. Flash is expended by both members of Omega Titans. Chronos in the bot lane. I've had a freeze here at 4 minutes, so hopefully that resolves itself. You'll have to let me know if that is also the case for you.
Yeah, and even though the gank mid did result in a kill, it did free up Acid a little bit more to start farming up, and he's starting to see that CS lead slowly build up onto that jungler, and definitely wouldn't be feeling good now that they're going to be a lot of these camps cleared. But I was going to lead into a thought, and my brain just died on me. That's why I'm play-by-play. With the head empty. Sorry about
Fair
that.
enough. Can I get a confirmation of if we've proceeded and we're at 4:15 now, or if I'm behind?
You are behind. We are quite behind. We're currently at 5 minutes, at least.
All right.
Well, I guess all the while that means I'm the only one who is currently live. All the while we stood towards the bot lane, but with the first Drake still up being that.
All right, I'm good to go.
Are we back? You on time or?
Yep, I should
Cool.
be on time now.
Let's go.
All right, not too much action taking place while I was out of whack. The technical difficulties always going to come around. You got to just take them in stride. As you were talking about, we've got that first Drake of the game going to be that Hex Tech Drake. We'll see if either side's going to go towards picking that one up. But having that early bot lane pressure is the idea for no.
Oh wait, hold on! Unstoppable onslaught used by his gas dealer will force the flash out from his opposing laner. So without that summoner spell, it's gonna be really nice as that dredge line almost finds Pack-a-Ball on the back end of that gank. Nothing quite coming with that. Actually, wait, no, I was about to send you over to you, Tiger, but we've actually got it all in the top lane. Kinrick trying to find the kill onto gas dealer as he sent him to Brazil. Not quite enough to get him in time by the time that that ultimate ended, but will get the kill and actually hand it over to Acid, I believe. And I also believe that my scoreboard is bugged because everybody's 0-0-0 with starting items.
All right, well, I think that we're seeing now with this.
There we go. Okay.
Focus. We'll see if an engage happens on the back end of it, but I think that these sides will.
We might have here. That is a massive fear from Eagle Bender, ending up 4, but no kills just yet. Pack-a-Ball finally goes down by Acid, picking up his second kill now. And with those health bars being so low, Saucy Moss incredibly low. Now Night Creed though surely has to go down here. There he is, Eagle Bender going to pick that up with the last auto attack, and that'll be a 3-0 going over to the side of OMT Chronos.
Night Creed is asking the Saucy Moss to take the knife out of his back. He got him with the blast cone, put him in a spot where he could have no recourse whatsoever. And now OMT Chronos with the 4-1 kill lead. It did yield that Drake, but now with 2,000 gold advantage, and especially with the extra power that we're seeing on Acid, Kenrick giving over that kill in the top lane was actually so impactful on how this game's going to play out. We can check out the individual gold, already 800 ahead for Acid, getting right on towards that Nashor's Tooth, and this is what we expect to see from OMT Chronos. They're looking to get Acid ahead, and that's right where they are now.
Yeah, I mean, I know earlier he was with that really early gank from Pack-a-Ball. Even though it worked, it did give Acid a little bit extra time to farm, and now after that incredible fight around the Drake, I mean, he's starting to feel really good for himself. Extra farm and kills on him, you know, that's going to be feeling incredible. He said he heads towards that Nashor's Tooth, but also 5 stacks on the Dark Seal. Not something to write off at all.
Yeah, double Dark Seals coming through for OMT Chronos. They're looking for kills. They're looking to stack them up. That's kind of an ego play, but that's what we've come to expect from OMT Chronos. They are definitely knowing that they're amongst the top of the ranks. And for Noord Frost from this point, they've got to kind of reset themselves. Vision control throughout this series definitely going to be important. I think that fight didn't have to be started around the Drake, that is, by Noord Frost, but they decided to go back in for it. They didn't have any eyes on Eagle Bender nor Acid, I believe, so they ended up getting collapsed in a way that they had not necessarily foreseen, but potentially why they tried to go for the re-engage there, but definitely did not work out in their favor. Now we see Acid trying to pick up this first Rift Herald, extend the gold lead even more potentially, as the collapse coming through on bot side for Noord Frost.
Yeah, I mean, he looked at trying to find a gank there, but very good awareness from Brooks, and thereby also to know that the enemy jungler wasn't on that top side of the map, so that they should just hang out a bit and not worry too much. And then with Night Creed getting this far forward as they sniffed it out before it even came through, even without having that direct vision. So very good awareness from them there.
Yeah, gotta be
Speaking of ganks, actually, here comes Pack-a-Ball trying to find his way into Eagle Bender, but already out. Not going to be able to find much else there. Here comes Thereby. Also, though, there it is. Dredge line used, and Acid will pick up yet another kill. Saucy Moss might just be going down here as well. And the Ignite has landed, and there it goes. The burn is enough. 2 for 0 in the mid lane on that roam up from thereby also.
Yeah, and we just continue to see plays coming through from OMT Chronos. They're always first to the punch here, it seems. It's kind of a situation where Pack-a-Paul is put in a spot where he has to try to chase around.
First tower.
Yeah, first tower.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay. He's got to chase around the macro place, try to stop any bad stuff from going through. And when we see going for stuff in the bot lane, like we had just a little while ago, and it doesn't work out, I mean, it's hard to make it work when you're trying to engage on an Ezreal. But at the same time, if your bot lane is where you're trying to focus all of your resources to get them ahead, then it's difficult to leave them open to ganks as well.
Good all the way. Hold on. Thereby also might just know. There it is. Dredge line won't land, though. Game for Scholarship and Nightcreed are aware that they have their cancels recalled, but not too sure if they're aware that a gank's coming through. Brooks, a little bit of damage, but not quite enough to find it through there, and a decent bit of damage in canceled recalls on the side of No Orc Frost. So overall, very favorable for the bot lane of OMT Chronos.
Yeah, and thereby also has been pretty good at landing the hooks so far this match. And we'll see if he can continue with that. I think that having that hook landing is always something that you look for, especially on the Nautilus. We've seen a couple good roams as well.
Ooh, hold on, Brooks. The wind wall not going to be enough, but we have 4 members in the spot lane, and that can't be blocked as you have no more ability to block those projectiles. And as Nightcreed sits here, almost completely alone as Saucy Moss moving quite over. Won't quite be able to find the rest of this. Brooks arcaning shift, using that arcane shift to get over the wall. And they will be out safe and sound.
Yeah, another orchestrated strike by OMT Chronos, trying to punish me for saying
hold on,
that...
Nightcreed. In a bit of a dangerous situation here. Already gone very low, but actually they've turned their way onto Pack-a-Paul now. OMT Chronos going to pick that one and going on to Acid. Pack-a-Paul getting very low, but the Ignite had just expired there, so not quite enough to pick up another 2 kills, but the 1 is enough, and really it's just utter dominance from OMT Chronos here.
Yeah, they've already established themselves in the lead here. They picked up a Drake as well. They have evened that one out. We're seeing this time around gonna have an Ocean Soul. So I think that, especially for No Orc Frost, that would be a nice one to have with as big of a front line as they have. But either side can get some extra value out of it. I guess that when one side has that big of a front line, it's not like they have that much burst damage on the back of it. So OMT Chronos could use it as well because they're not going to be up against such a large burst. But I think that the Drake stacking kind of falling out of favor potentially for this game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a 6k gold difference at 14 minutes, so definitely going to feel very OMT Chronos favored, regardless of what the dragon situation feels like. And hold on, I tried to teleport into this top lane. Gastealer won't have a wave here, so a bit of a strange spot to be in. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yep, gonna be fine for the moment. But it feels like No Orc Frost, it's only momentary whenever you're going to be fine because OMT Chronos keeps...
Because look at it right here. Hold on, Acid? I mean, surely they have to try this, right? I don't believe Gastealer knows Acid's here. Yeah, no, he doesn't. There it is going in, and Gastealer now having to flash away, getting low, and all that damage coming through. Is it enough to take down the Scion? Yes, it is. Acid not even taking all that much damage in return. So it would be very healthy as Gastealer tries to just clear out the rest of the wave and not lose too much to the tower. Brooks now going to get marked up. Will heal, surprisingly. Not sure if that was entirely necessary or not.
Yeah, well, we'll see if that gets punished. I mean...
Well, speaking of getting punished, we might have to throw it off again as that was definitely very aggressive positioning from thereby also, but they will just back away from each other, and probably wisely so.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing how slippery that the OMT Chronos bot lane is. I mean, it's just hard to lock them down at any point, and the advantage is continuing to grow here for OMT Chronos, up 7,000 gold, and it just keeps on getting bleaker and bleaker of a situation here in game number 1 for No Work Frost, but a lot of credit due here to OMT Chronos. It's just hard to respond to all of the plays that they're making. I talked at the beginning about how they have the 3 AP on the top side of the map, but that has not really been an issue of any variety so far in this match, because like, you can't build up the resistances fast enough when they're getting these many kills, they're getting this many resources, that no matter how much MR that you want to build, you're just going to get outpaced by the extra damage coming through from these items that are being completed so much faster with all this extra gold.
Well, speaking of all this extra gold, I would imagine it would help in this upcoming Drake fight, as Acid and actually all of both teams have found their way down towards this Drake, so definitely showing a lot of priority. And yeah, as the Rift Herald is available, just going to be dropped mid by OMT Chronos, trying to force a response from No Work Frost, and rightfully so. I mean, they have every last bit of advantage that they could ever ask for right about now, and bit of it's turned up in a strange spot. That being said, the Glacial Fissure are going to do a lot, but on the backside of that, the Depth Charge also knocking up 4, and it'll be enough for OMT Chronos to pick up 3 now. Gas Dealer surely going to be 4 for nothing. Going over to that piece. So, whoa! Saucy Moss, very aware of the situation there, will be able to get at least 1 kill on the back end of that fight, but that will only be consolation after what was just pure, it was an absolute round from OMT Chronos.
Yeah, and that's a rather strange choke point that No Work Frost found themselves in, because they were being attacked from 2 directions, and when you've got the Braum, maybe you can survive being attacked from 1 direction. You can throw down the Glacial Fissure, you can throw up the Unbreakable and try to soak some of the projectiles that may come in. But when you've got attackers from the river and from mid lane, it's a lot more difficult to deal with at the beginning of the fight. And such a big depth charge coming through from thereby also just really set the table for a massacre, really. And getting 1 kill on the back end's nice, but No Work Frost is going to be in well, they've already been in an almost indefensible position, but it's stacking up even more. Base broken now. We're still a minute and a half out from getting the Baron on the map, but it's OMT Chronos who are pushing towards the Nexus towers already.
Yeah, that open inhibitor in the mid lane. Oh, probably a good decision to not really try to push that inhibitor, because a few times we've seen early inhibitors get taken, that the lead that the super minions give isn't actually pushed, though I don't doubt that OMT Chronos would be unable to do that. It's just that sometimes you'll see games stall out, get more, and then the losing team who just lost an inhibitor, they'll get that extra XP and gold as a result and start to actually catch back up. So really good patience from OMT Chronos, even shown on the macro level there.
Yeah, that's a fair point, and not going to get as much out of taking the inhib immediately as you could if you just wait for a little while longer. Also, if you take it at 21 minutes instead of 18 minutes, that means that you're getting all the way until 26 minutes having those super minions in the mid lane, so that gives you a larger window to look at potentially using that extra pressure to force a Baron or go towards another Drake. So definitely it makes sense to leave that up for the moment. But as we're cresting 20 minutes now, with such a big lead, I feel like it just makes sense for OMT Chronos to start looking the way of that Baron, at least getting it set up, maybe force a fight around it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to say pretty much that they have all the time in the world that they want. Is Acid. Look at how far forward he's getting. There he goes. Depth shock charge will find 3, and that is a quick fight going over to OMT Chronos. And I mean, yeah, that was such a really quick fight. I mean, what else is there to say? It kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's very telling to see that the emblem at the bottom of the character model for Acid had only 3 out of the 4 stacks of the concussive blows. I mean, right at the beginning of that fight, Nightcreed's able to apply the passive, but it never ends up resulting in the stun because the fight lasts such a short period of time. No one's able to find the autos, and the follow-up coming through from OMT Chronos is just too powerful, immediately taking those kills off the map, able to get the Baron now as well, and it feels like only a matter of time before they'll come a knocking at the base of No Org Frost.
Yeah, definitely going to start to look to push down those objectives. Might even look to try to even end the game if they get a favorable fight with favorable lane conditions, especially as thereby also kind of hanging around here as well as Acid in the jungle. Maybe trying to find something they can. Saucy Moss being a little bit inconsiderate, not quite knowing where Acid was, and going to force that Spirit Rush out of the enemy mid laner. So not going to have those dashes available for these upcoming few minutes. As Pac-Paul now trying to go in, just gets bursted down immediately, and so does Nightcreed. I mean, they looked for every last chance they had. DM4 Scholarship will be tagged and taken down, and it's a massacre here in the mid lane in game 1 of our junior finals. And with that, you have to believe that OMT Chronos will take game 1.
Yeah, they're looking at picking up this last kill. The ace coming through, and that means game number 1 will be going in favor of OMT Chronos. They're right on the path to victory. 23 minutes is not a very long game time to be looking at game number 1, and all the answers were in favor of OMT Chronos this time around. No answers for No Org Frost. And we'll see going into game number 2 what they're going to change up to try to remedy some of these early game woes.
Yeah, I mean, it was just really a mess all over the map. So it's really hard to say, like, what was one thing specific you could improve. But I feel like that's one of the things where you just say, okay, well, we just had a bad game, reset, mental flip, and turn that off, and game 2s we're going to be starting from the beginning again. So just try not to get too tilted. Is really the kind of the only takeaway if you're No Org Frost as a result of that first game.
Yeah, that's all you can do. But for OMT Chronos, they'd have got to be feeling good about where they are right now, sitting pretty at 1-0 after a 21-2 massacre of No Org Frost in game number 1.
Yeah, as you said, 21-2 is what's even more impressive is that the official game time was 22 minutes 50 seconds at the end there. So an absolute 80% speed run from OMT Chronos, trying to not only just get themselves off on the right foot here, looking to, or not even looking to make a huge statement now. They really have made a statement in this game 1, but we will send it to a break. And when we come back, we will bring to you the draft of game 2 of these junior finals. Don't go anywhere.
Up here on the roof of the world.
we are back after what was a little bit of an extended break. We had a few technical issues, or at least Tiger did, as well as I believe Eagle Winner had to reset their um, routers. So after all that, we are finally ready and should be looking to go into the Games 2 draft any second.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case. I was not expecting, actually, at the beginning of this series for the mid laner of No Org Frost to be the Saucy Moss. I have to double check if that's an alias for Hostile Takeover, but that's been their mid laner all along, so that's what my prep is for. But we're getting right into draft anyway, so we'll take a look, see if we get any different bans. So far, No Org Frost looking pretty similar through the first two bans. And the last time it was Kindred in that third ban slot, so we'll see if that holds true for game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, already after 2 bans aside, it's still looking exactly the same, especially since Norg Frost, given the side select, did decide to go onto the red side again. However, Lucian will be the takeaway from OMT Chronos.
Yeah, interesting. It was in the second phase last time around that the Lucian got banned away, but if that is the flex pick that we think it could be, then that may be worth upgrading to the first rotation of bans. Perhaps they were thinking all along of banning the Lucian in the first half. I remember that they took a little bit longer of a pause before that third ban the first time around, as if they had not remembered what the preparation was on it. But now we're going to see the difference in the Alistar being picked up this time around instead of the Braum.
Yeah, definitely a lot more aggressive from Norg Frost in that support role. Definitely one that seems to be more Night Creed's. That fits Night Creed's style of play. So I definitely like to see that a bit more. And into Nautilus, or into really any sort of engaged points, Alistar is never really a bad choice.
Yeah, and having that disengaged possibility gives you a little bit of flexibility about in draft looking towards something that's going to split push. Of course, we're seeing pretty similar looking draft to last game. Same 3 champions so far for OMT Chronos. Norg Frost sticking with the Ahri, sticking with the Scion here, it looks like. I mean, these are the champions that they've played throughout the semester, throughout the season, if you will. Then, but I don't know if you can stick with the whole same game plan as last game. I mean, it went sideways, but it went sideways for a reason, right?
Yeah, but on the other hand, they could also might be thinking on the side of Norg Frost that, hey, we realized what we did wrong, which was, in fairness, a lot of things throughout that game 1. And if they are comfortable with what they normally play and know how they're going to fix it for game 2, I don't necessarily dislike it too much, especially as they're starting to adapt these phase 2 bans a bit more as well.
Yeah, but if you look back to last game, our expectations were that we would see the scaling come through for OMT Chronos in that Ezreal, in their team comp, but having the Vex and Gwen up in your face, and Mordekai's are trying to find 1v1s in the Shadow Realm. But they didn't even need to wait for scaling. They just kind of went on the attack early on and then never let up after that. Now we're seeing the Sejuani come through for Pack-Up Hall, so that's a little bit of a different look. A lot tankier as a champion than the Wukong, but also a lot less damage.
Yeah, I mean, out of all the teams, I mean, Frost is in their name, and you think like freezing and slowing. I mean, Sejuani, Scion, Alistar, even to an extent Ahri, they're definitely stacking up on that CC in this draft. Though a bit of an early concern is that there's not exactly a lot of damage from Norg Frost, and it's Kane. No, oh, okay. All right, Acid. I see you. Okay.
Acid flexing the muscles here on the Kane. We'll have to see at which direction he goes. I expect with all of these tanks on the front line that it would be the red Kane, but you never know. I mean, with a low damage style comp, you could just say, hey, we kill the one carry that's got damage, and then you don't have any damage anymore. So I would love to see an Acid Blue Kane game, actually, but I do feel like the red Kane's still probably going to be the call here. Almost always, red Kane is going to be more effective in a competitive setting, although that's never dissuaded Acid from playing Assassins before.
Not only, at least in Redkin, with that extra utility, but I mean, there are 3 champions that can be targeted that give you the red orbs as opposed to the blue ones. So in terms of getting a form as fast as possible, I feel like Red King will definitely be a lot easier for Acid to find in this, at least in this game.
Yeah, but whichever direction he goes, he'll still be looking to get onto that back line, find the CC and damage to stop them from doing any damage. And I do like the Tristana pick here for No Word Frost. I think that having that extra mobility is going to help kite out some of these things like a Kane or a Vex. But I don't know if it'll be enough to overturn what we saw in the last game. I mean, as far as the style goes, I don't feel like there's been very much change for either side. I mean, the Kane may be a little bit more aggressive offensively than the Gwen, but that kind of rectifies the issue that I had foreseen last game anyways, of having too much of the same damage type. That now you can't even make that complaint about this draft for OMT Chronos. So I feel like they are in a very strong position to go into this game and just pick up right where they left off from game number 1.
Yeah, definitely that much is the case, and especially if DM4 Scholarship gets shut down really early on that Tristana. I mean, in terms of other damage sources that they're looking for, I mean, unless if we see some lethality Scion come through from Gas Dealer, not quite sure where else they're going to find the damage from. So definitely going to be hinging on DM4 Scholarship getting just hyper fed and being able to carry on. Wellwood is definitely a champion that can do that.
Yeah, but at the same time, we saw a lot of effective play out of Brooks last game on the Ezreal, getting a decent chunk of damage with the combination of the Essence Flux Mystic Shot. Especially once we got near the end of that game, we were just seeing poke chunks for 50-60% of the health bar with just 2 spells. And the Mystic Shot cooldown, if you land it, is just like you're auto attacking them. So you're basically just 2-shotting people with Mystic Shots. And you have the ability to gap close as well. So I feel like in this sort of setting that we've seen No Word Frost set this series up as, Brooks is going to feel quite comfortable game number 2 on the Ezreal, just like game number 1. Same goes for Egro Bender on the Vex. Same goes for Thereby also on the Nautilus. Same goes for Kenrick on the Mordekaiser. They've got all the same conditions as last game.
Yeah, and Kenrick's Mordekaiser definitely one of the more notorious picks as well. But if there's anything to mention is that I'm riding on a No Word Frost victory, man. They had 2 of their members actually promise a new set of headphones for me before game 1. So with a No Word Frost victory, so I'm still holding out hope that game 2 will look a lot different from game 1.
The grind never stops, sun praising, and I definitely understand the support there. And I'm just hoping to see a better game here in game number 2 than game number 1 was. I always respect clean games, but it's not so exciting to know how the fight's going to happen before it happens. I want to see fights on a little bit closer lines here in game number 2.
Yeah, so like not a 10K gold difference at 14 minutes, or I mean,
Yeah.
game one was such an anomaly, and I know I said this before we went to break, but if you're just tuning in, it's just one of those games that in a best of series, you just have to go, well, we shot the bed, we will go next, and we'll just play better next time, because it was just one of those games. But we'll have to look to see what changes Nowhere Frost have made, at least in terms of their play style, and whether or not OMT Chronos can keep up the dominance as we head into this spectator delay. When we come back, it will be game 2 on the Rift in these junior finals. Don't go anywhere. onto the Rift for game 2, and once again, it's going to be no Org Frost, perhaps predicting a few level 1 shenanigans, but equally OMT Chronos not really going to go for it themselves. So you want to just have a bit of a bush party here, Tiger.
Yeah. I think that there's once again a lot of opportunity. If someone approaches that bush, we could see, a pulverized, decimating smash. There's plenty of AoE knockups to go around. Honestly, this team comp would have been kind of a banger with a Yasuo for no Orc Frost, but not going to be the case, obviously. In this situation, they picked up the Ari early on in the draft, so it was kind of not possible anyways, unless they wanted to play a bot. But whatever the case, I'm thinking that right now, what I'd like to see change up for the side of No Org Frost, if they want to have a different outcome than game number 1, is that they just gotta get some deep vision so that they know where Acid is at all times.
Oh, hold on. I mean, this must be a set play that No Org Frost have done multiple times before, because Brooks and Thereby also, they had an inkling of an idea that Gas Dealer was going to be in that bush trying to cheese a level 1 kill, but you would be aware, and knowing actually now that they had no top laner up there for a while, if I saw that correctly, I do believe Acid was able to steal away the red buff as well.
Yeah, kind of a harmless play there from Gas Stealer. I mean, you drop the teleport, but you're not going to use that all that much early on anyways. So kind of looking to see if you can get a little bit of a cheeky kill. If not, no harm, no foul. Just going to return to lane and be in just a fine position. Now, I've seen once again very, very early on Kenrick picking up CS advantage. And we'll see if that ends up extending, because I feel like that was something throughout last game that kind of helped expand the gold lead. I mean, there was many reasons why the gold lead was expanding for OMT Chronos, but just getting some natural leads in the solo lanes through CS is one of the ways to most effectively and consistently pick up additional gold.
I see Moss going to get a nice bit of damage out there, is maybe a little bit too early, as Pack of Paul not quite there to find any sort of CC. But yeah, definitely towards that bottom side, Eagle Blender with no mana now. Flash forward from Pack of Paul. Trade of Flashes won't be able to find the kill onto Eagle Blender though, so trade up in flashes for the side. Actually, we're not done just yet. Pack of Paul knows Nightcreed's here, but he's taking so much damage already, and now Nightcreed, he's on the wrong side of the map in the enemy jungle. Where does he go from here? I'm not quite sure what else he can do. We'll have to burn that flash. Won't feel as bad of a loss there, considering he does have has taken Hex Flash this game, so not going, like I said, not going to be the worst, but still first blood over to OMT Chronos.
Yeah, not only over to OMT Chronos, but it's taken no time at all for Acid to build himself up a pretty solid lead here. I mean, even in the camps, 3 camps ahead at 4 minutes, that's an insane pace, really. And Acid's just going to continue to balloon the gold advantage that he's got here. And with the Kayn, he's got so much ability to utilize that, and so was the case with the Gwen. But this is just the style that OMT Chronos play. They're playing around Acid, and Acid is delivering so far this series.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know he was definitely one of the big key players to look at. And actually, hold on, Gastio is going very low. Kenrick just might try to find the all-in here. Flash is under tower, won't quite be able to find Gastio now, but probably so low and without that shield available. There it is, the bonk without any interruption. We'll get that bonus damage, and will be enough to get the kill onto Gastio, who, by the way, doesn't have the teleport available.
Yeah, I mean, lack of teleport going to be punished, but really there, I don't understand why Gas Dealer is just sitting there under that tower. I mean, you gotta know the length of the range there on that Obliterate coming out from Kenrick's Mordekaiser. And he uses it all the time, so it's a hitbox that you're seeing pretty commonly. Steeler not respecting it there and getting punished pretty heavily, as that's going to be a continual value coming out in the top lane for Kenrick.
Yeah, and once again showing why this Mordekaiser pick has been a problem against every single team that's had to face it, and maybe something a change to look forward to into the next game, because currently as OMT Chronos take this Drake all over, it's just once again all over the map. OMT Chronos just victory after victory.
Yeah, here comes the Hex Flash though.
Yeah, the Hex Flash being available, going to get over and force a bit out of Eagle Bender, at least a slight panic. That being said, Ignite used, and without being able to find that kill on the other side, it's a good attempt. It's a good attempt. I respect it from Night Creed.
Yeah, actually, the perfect buffer on the Mistral Bolt there, coming through with the fear, means that the Saucy can't follow up with a charm, and that really pushes the gank away from having any effect. Night Creed, though, going to be using this Hex Flash to a large degree. Burn that flash to get over the wall, but now having access to the Hex Flash is kind of a bonus on top of that. So we'll see if he's able to spam that forward. Try to set up some kills here for DM for Scholarship. Not able to do so in game number 1, but that is the sort of style that I'm expecting is going to be continually played here, based on the fact that the draft is pretty similar from game number 1 to game number 2.
And wait, hold on. Acid might be in a little bit of a difficult situation here. Not going to be able to dodge a flash, but not going to be able to dodge this stun that was about to come through from Pakapal. So good awareness from OMT, Nowhere Frost, but on the other side here comes Thereby, also nowhere to go. Night Creed going to get a kill onto his enemy support. So currently 1-0 in that fight for Nowhere Frost, and I believe they will stay that way.
Yeah, a good mastery of Alistar there from Night Creed to go for that Pulverize. There's nowhere else for Thereby also to go. I mean, surrounded on all sides by members of No Org Frost. So you can just walk up, throw down the Pulverize, and then reposition to get a headbutt right back into the rest of the team. And that works out.
Oh, wait, hold on. Egro Bender trying to find the all into the Saucy Moss, who was low on mana, but this gank's coming through and with so much CC. Will it be enough to take down Eagle Bender? There it is on the final auto attack. Pakapal getting the kill there, and I believe, actually, not sure if Saucy Moss was even able to get an assist off of that, but I might be wrong with that statement.
Yeah, the Saucy Moss able to get out alive there, importantly, not allowing any Shadow Surge resets to come through for Eagle Bender. And what do you know, 2-2, it's kind of evening back up this game. Still a gold lead of about 800 in favor of OMT Chronos, plus that first Drake in favor. But getting a couple kills here, kind of a nice thing to have. I mean, not the most optimal targets with Pakapal's Sedge and Night Creed's Alistar, but gold is gold, and we'll see if they can utilize some of that to find an avenue into an advantage in this game.
Yeah, and it's definitely not ideal, as you mentioned, what was going on to you, but, you know, one way to, when you got to stop the bleeding, you know, really getting anything you can is ideal, as Pakapal would try a bit here, but I mean, 2 tanks in the top lane. Doing what tanks do in those wet noodle fights, so not quite much else to speak of. There's not much on the map, but as we did see earlier, that the first Herald will once again go over to OMT Chronos.
Yeah, Night Creed is back on the roam again. Kind of a lot of investment in roaming this game for Night Creed, so that varies a little bit in the style from what we would have seen in the previous games, where there's such a large focus on the bot lane. Yasteel in the bot lane now.
Onslaught going to be used and a flash going to be burned. That being said, he's God Low, with all the CC still available. That's going to send him down, just not quite enough on the Ignite, but Brooks will just change the focus onto the enemy ADC, and now Nightcreed going to get stunned up as well with all this damage coming through. So even though Gas Dealer survives, it's at the cost of his own bot lane.
Yeah, and Nightcreed shows up just in time to die, right, son? There's not much he can do there. Just walks up, gets hit by the depth charge. So good job by also to hold that ability until it was maximally useful. Make sure to set Brooks up here for a double kill, and now all of a sudden you're dealing with an Ezreal that's going to be looking at taking all of the plates on this tower as well.
Yeah, this charge from Shelly should be enough. However, Brooks is going to get stunned up, and that is the shutdown going on to DM for Scholarship. And we were talking about with those first few kills that it might not have gone into the ideal target, but getting a shutdown onto the Tristana definitely going to feel really good for Nova Frost.
Yeah, for sure. But coming back out on the map, Brooks is going to have first item complete.
Oh wait, headbutt, polarized, acid caught out. Saucy Moss picking that kill up as well. So overall, once again, this time, these 2 kills to bring at least the kill score back level from Nova Frost going on to the targets that they want. And they will also get the second Drake to ensure that you won't be able to look for that 22-minute soul as well.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to be important now that the Hex states are active. The Hex tech soul, potentially the strongest of all of the souls right now, and especially on a poke comp with Vex and Ezreal available, that's so valuable. So delaying it for a while here is going to be good for Nova Frost, but at the same time, they're still going to have to at least collect the resources at an even rate. They haven't been able to do that thus far. So with that in mind, we see OMT Chronos still with the lead, able to pick up that bot lane tower importantly. So a lot of this lead has been sunk into Brooks, but we'll see if they're able to continue pushing their lead forward like they did in game number 1.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would have to say at this point they already haven't pushed the lead like they did in game number 1, simply because game number 1 was just such a stomp. But yeah, even though I do like what Nova Frost has been showing in these last few fights, at the end of the day, yes, OMT Chronos still very massively ahead, especially with the extra plates and even a turret to their name, as Saucy Moss going to have to burn that Spirit Rush. We'll actually try to find the all-in onto Ego Bender, as here comes Nightcreed trying to find the kill there. Is Saucy Moss picking up that first kill, but I believe that'll be a 1-for-1 as Saucy Moss goes very low there, but also going to be able to pick up that kill. And with a few teleports coming through, Pack of Call getting down to about half health, but he's going to be very tanky on that Sejuani. So 1-for-1 in this mid lane fight, and very opportunistic from the Saucy Moss after what was a burned ultimate.
Yeah, pushing the bot lane at the same time as DM for Scholarship, so probably a slight advantage, although Acid gonna punish.
Yeah. There. Oh, you know, Nautilus Hook is a thing. It was a strange interaction. That being said, DM for Scholarship lit. I thought for certain that there would be enough damage even with that Buster Shot to keep DM for Scholarship alive, but you know, that was just a really poor assumption on my part, and he will make it out without going down. So really good stuff from the ADC of Nova Frost.
Yeah, Acid trying to look for the walkaway kill, but good composure there, finding the right Buster Shot, and DM for Scholarship able to get out alive. And that means a little bit more help going to be on the map for whatever the next coming fight is. But we'll see which direction that each of these sides tends to go. We've got a Rift Herald coming up here in 45 seconds. It is the second one, so no plates on the cards for this next potential Rift Herald, but always getting a turret is important. This top lane turret right now looking pretty juicy for Omega Titans. Chronos, we'll see if they end up going towards it. Could just try to go for the tower itself.
They just might try to fight Nightcreed here on the Alistar. Will have to burn that ultimate, but without his teammate really nearby at all, Kenrick will pull him back, and surely, even though the Saucy Moss is here, actually, no way he makes it out, right? yeah, there's no way at this point. There's not really anywhere else for him to go. There it is. The cow's going to be turned into some beef just about now as Kinrick picks up the kill onto the enemy support.
Yeah, a long chase down, but still kills coming through. And I think that with that, OMT Chronos going to be pushing themselves into a position where they are going to be
not quite going to be respecting the amount of CC that come from Pakapal, and good patience from Pakapal on that glacial prison as the Shadow Surge not quite being able to land as well. So really, once again, very opportunistic from No Org Frost to find a kill out of what seemed like nowhere really.
Yeah, quite effectively done here. And we'll see if they're able to convert that into any more resources. Can get some vision around this Drake. Not going to be on the map just yet, but they're kind of able to even some of the gold out here with that tower being taken in the bot lane. We'll see if they're going to be able to push towards the mid lane as well. I think that the team fight is going to be the biggest struggle of this game.
Whoa, wait, hold on. The dredge line will land onto the enemy Alistar. Night Creed getting taken down as Kinrick will send him to the Death Realm. That being said, it might be ill-advised as he can't even get enough damage onto this Alistar early on. Will finally get the kill now, but at what cost? DM4 Scholarship going low will find that kill onto the enemy ADC. So currently a 2-for-2 as Pakball now goes down, but is traded back onto the enemy mid laner, and now we've got a tale of two top laners. Ace going over to OMT Chronos with a quadra kill onto Kinrick.
Yeah, Kenrick, Mordekaiser coming up huge in this fight. Going to be looking at getting some extra gold as well as that Rift Herald got dropped down. So 6-0-1 for Kenrick. We can see that the gold advantage expanding for OMT Chronos back right out to about 2K and more than 2K just individually on Kenrick. So that's kind of where the carry focus is this game. The baton has been passed. Game number 1, it was Acid. Now game number 2, it's going to be Kenrick. We'll see if any revenge can come through on the other side. I think DM for Scholarship's in a lot better position this time around than in game number 1, but it's still going to be an uphill battle for No Org Frost.
I mean, it is going to be an uphill battle, but at least this time it's not going to be a straight up wall that they have to climb. So, it's definitely better from No Org Frost, and especially after that game one and picking a fairly similar team composition, I think it's good to see that they do know what they're doing, that there's not a complete mismatch here on his Aspen might have. Wait, hold on. Is that the? Oh wait, no, that's Tiger. You there? I'm not sure if he's there or not. I'm not sure if it'll matter. Currently, Eaglebender going low, but not quite able to find that kill. CC comes through, and that would, I mean, at least like 10 seconds of CC onto Gas Dealer will be taken down. Not able to find kill onto Eaglebender and Tiger. We good or?
Yeah, I'm dealing with a little bit more of the technical difficulties, but I think that I'm back into a matched spot. I was on a little bit behind the delay for a while, but now we're here. So we've got a situation where now in the mid lane it's starting to be a collapse.
Yeah, Brooks trying to find his way out, and he spent a lot of time on this Ezreal. Shadow Surge going to follow Pakapal through the Blast Cone. Eaglebender going to pick up that kill. Try to find the reset blindly, but won't be able to catch a fish on that hook. So 1-for-0 going over to OMT Chronos. Still, so even though No Org Frost definitely been a lot better this game, still OMT Chronos proven that why they inherited one of the favorites. They were one of the favorites to win the whole thing at the start of the season.
Yeah, so getting that kill is going to be nice going into the next stages of this game. Having that 2 Drakes means that it's getting a little bit closer, can continue to push towards that soul. Hextech soul, all important in these games, especially we're seeing a situation where The damage profile for No Orc Frost is a little bit limited, kind of down to just having that Ari and Tristana. So I'm hoping to see the Drakes focused here as soon as they're spawning. We're still a little ways out before the next one's coming up, but whenever there's a Drake coming up, there needs to be set up in advance, and getting to that Drake first is going to be very important for both sides.
Yeah, that much is certain. I mean, that vision war is going to be absolutely massive, especially as we get around to about a minute and a half until the next Drake spawns. And that's a wait to see who is able to set up that vision first. But with the three outer towers down on the side of Noarg Frost, you'd have to feel that OMT Chronos should be able to control this map fairly easily.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of been the situation throughout this series. I mean, there's a lot more of an ability this time around for No Orc Frost to kind of match up in some level fights, but I think that they're still going to be struggling to get to the fight first and really come in on their own terms.
That being said, Charm being thrown out by Saucy Moss. Just going casting a line out there, trying to find. Maybe I mean, what is up with me and fishing analogies this game? I don't know. Either way, we've definitely going to be an early advantage in the Vision War, going over to OMT Chronos, and I'm not quite sure if Tiger's technical difficulties have resolved themselves. So you think we good here, or?
Well, I think that OMT Chronos are going to be in a position now that's going to make it difficult to engage at all, actually, on this river. As long as they want to hold the control, they should be able to do so, especially when they've gotten the Nautilus and the Mordekaiser.
A little bit of a strange spot here. That being said, there's going to be the flash now away from the Sejuani, and an early kill going over to OMT Chronos to start off this fight. But a lot of kill downs were used in that fight. Kinrick now getting yet another kill. He's gone low. Shut down going on to Sion as Kinrick does go down. So that's going to be a massive amount of gold going over to the top laner of No Orc Frost. But at the end of the day, it's still a very strong fight from OMT Chronos as they pick up an extra kill in this 4-for-3.
Yeah, and with the Drake up, they should be able to rotate over and take it. Acid's still online. But those shutdowns are going to have a big impact. Being able to pick those up means No Orc Frost is going to be able to complete some more items now. You can see the first QSS is starting to come through, making sure that the Shadow Realm is not going to be targeting at least this Tristana for the moment, but we'll see if more of these QSSs come through as the game continues. But now on Soul Point is OMT Chronos, so they're going to be quite happy with that. And they can start to push more towards these tier 2 towers, try to take some more gold off the map. And I think that the objectives coming up is the next time that they really want to fight, but we've been seeing throughout these series that just fighting at any opportunity that might be a numbers advantage is something that both of these teams have gravitated towards.
Yeah, speaking of hold on, Shadow Surge not quite going to be enough on that range to start off a fight. With only Baron being up at 25 minutes, I don't imagine it should be too much of an issue. But if there's one thing I do want to point out, it's good old Whitson Sion is what Gastio is going for here. So a bit of an unconventional sort of build, especially after getting the Sunfire cape, Sunfire, the not Sunfire cape as the first item, kind of transitioning away from that full tank build. So he knows something that I don't, and I would trust that he does, so I'm not that much of a Sion player, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I think
also going to get charmed up, though. I hate to cut you off, especially since not much time. Headbutt away and back to the enemy team. That being said, the Depth Charge going to do a lot of damage as it gets followed up by the True Shot Barrage, but it's not quite enough damage to take down DM for scholarship. So currently a nice pick going over to the No Word Frost.
Yeah, they're able to at least get themselves one there by also not going to be here for any engages coming up. No real big objectives available on the back end of that. But
Oh, Gas
now we're
Dealer, he's
seeing
going
one.
for this. He's the phase rush procced and actually, hold on. Eagle Bender is nowhere to go. Shut down going on to Gas Dealer. So this Scion, I mean, this Wits In build, not what you would call conventional, but still working very well in that bot lane. However, Acid now has become to the top jungle side going low, but it's not quite enough to take him down. Brooks picking up the first kill onto Nightcreed. Pacapole now going very low. The smite will keep him alive onto the Krugs. So across the map, it's a 1v1, but with the group being up around Baron, I would wonder if OMT Chronos are going to try to attempt to take this, as thereby also stops the recall from Gas Dealer as well. And yeah, they're onto the Baron just now.
Yeah, they've got the priority over this. Could be contested here, but there's a lot of poke coming out from Brooks. Being first to this Baron's mean a lot.
Scholarship, uh-oh, that's a lot of early damage from that ADC. Brooks now picking up that kill, but it's a trade of kills on the ADCs. The Baron helping out a bit there and will be able to dissuade the Baron take by OMT Chronos. Is No Word Frost, so overall, I'd gotta say pretty worth.
Yeah, at least not a bad attempt there, and an equal outcome kind of for both sides. But at least able to dissuade the Baron, is meaning that No Word Frost is buying more time, try to scale up and get themselves in a position to have that team fight available for themselves.
In a bit of a tough spot without much of the team around. That being said, all this first was used early on. Nightcreed going low now, flashing over. The Ignite is enough to take down Nightcreed, which will get the reset on the Shadow Surge. Then there it is, Saucy Moss going to be taken down as well. Packball going taken down to about half health, but with a lot of these cooldowns already used and not too many teammates around, I believe they'll just settle for that 2-4-0 and actually probably head straight to the Baron, as yeah, Mordekaiser teleporting up here, so definitely going to be at least the Baron attempt and most likely taken by OMT Chronos.
Yeah, should be able to go down. OMT Chronos this time around not going to be quite so much challenged on it. Have all 5 members here. And that means that with the Baron up and with Soul coming up in 30 seconds, is going to be a very difficult situation. No Word Frost find themselves in once again in this series. They're going to have to find a way to contest the Drake, but not lose too much of their structures at the same time. And with these Hex Gates, the rotation already coming out towards this Drake, so it's heavily prioritized here by OMT Chronos. I would expect the same from No Word Frost, as they're here first.
Yeah, No Word Frost is here first. That being said, the headbutt away from Nightcreed, maybe not the best, as that sends the enemy team away, as Eagle Bender picks up the kill DM for scholarship. So you have to believe that'll be OMT Chronos winning this fight already, as their ADC is down. Pacapole trying to sound a bit more onto the enemy jungler, but I do believe that OMT Chronos, well, at least they should just look to take this and take their victories while they have them.
Yeah, when it's a Hex Tech Soul, you don't really want to give it over any possibility of picking that one up, although it seems that they have.
Yeah, Gas Dealer kind of been in a strange spot here. That being said, he does have Demolish, so he might try to find that tower. And Eagle Bender getting locked up underneath said tower. Actually, well, not said tower, actually, but kills flying over, all over the map, left, right, and center. The Saucy Moss being able to catch out Brooks there with the charm and actually trying to find thereby also the minions will block that charm and keep thereby also alive, giving the kill over to the OMT Chronos support. So very fancy feat and some assistance from those from the wave. Keep thereby also alive and be able to take that kill.
Yeah, able to get the help from the Baroned up minions. It kind of got the, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and helping him out as he supplies that buff. And still a good fight going both sides, but as the match continues, I think that it's going to be more and more difficult for these fights to go in favor of Noah or Frost, because now with the Hex Soul is
Acid's still here. He's used a few of these knockups and CC available. It's getting Cotton Knight down to about half health, and he's still looking to push this. Should know that there's at least 3 enemy team members around here. Engage from Acid. Headbutt going to the, Bullfire is going to be used by Nightcreed early on, so all these cooldowns have been used. Pac-Paul going to get togged up by the Shadow Surge. That being said, that is going to be Nightcreed staying alive just long enough, and currently it's a 2-for-1 in favor of No Frost. That being said, Pac-Paul sitting in the death row. Not going to have any support there as Kenrick picks up yet another kill. 10-1 and 5 on the Mordekaiser currently, but a 2-for-2 in the fight there. For, well, not really for either team, but you have to say that favors No Frost, especially as Gas Dealer takes up this top lane 2-1 kill. But hold on, DM for Scholarship going for this kill. Is it enough? Yes, it is! Solo kill for DM for Scholarship onto Brooks. But, I mean, there's a trade. It's tier 2 mid as a response. I mean, it's something, but still really good stuff from DM for Scholarship. Really showing his prowess there and why he was one of the best ADCs in this last game. 2 objective bounties as well. We're seeing that Gas Dealer with that Hole Breaker starting to push really fast now.
Yeah, that actually went really well as a trade for No Frost. They're able to pick up 2 towers for 1, both with objective bounties as well. They get an extra kill, and I really see no downside. A little bit too much aggression potentially from OMT Chronos. They do pick up a tower, so they are making progress towards the base, as they've got a pretty overwhelming gold lead right now. But I think that they're going to need to find a little bit better fights, although when they're very well suited to fights around objectives, around neutral objectives, I should say. So once those come up, I think that OMT Chronos are going to be back in a little bit better of a position. But it's good to see No Org Frost fighting back in this match.
Yeah, finally, that being said, DM for Scholarship is just going to get blown up at the start of this fight. Gets tagged by the Shadow Surge, and that'll be enough to find kill him without any sort of damage. Acid now taking the Saucy Moss, and names have been taken all over the place. Pac-Paul in the death row, but that's only delaying the inevitable shutdown going on to Acid. Teleport used from Gas Cooler, though, over to the spot lane, maybe trying to find this tower and inhibitor as a response. Knowing that he really can't contest this push in the mid lane, just really doing the best he can. And I mean, no way. I respect the decision, but let's see if it pays off at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, this is the eternal struggle of playing a split pusher. I mean, when your 4-man group gets absolutely obliterated, what are you to do? I mean, it would be nice to just be able to take all of these objective bounties, but it's not going to be enough. It's a little bit too little too late. And it looks like
there it is.
Chronos taking game number 2 and going ahead 2-0 on the series.
Yeah, OMT Chronos going to bring it to match point, but at the very least, No Frost looking a lot better in game 2, showing that they do have the ability to go toe-to-toe with OMT Chronos. And, you know, especially after that game 1, even though they're now looking at, they're now fighting for their lives, they definitely look a lot better. And I feel more confident in their ability to take at least one game off this series.
Yeah, and we saw last week in OMT Chronos' matchup that they kind of went a little bit lax after their 2-0 lead developed. They dropped game 3 before coming back around and finishing off game number 4. But I think that right now we saw No Frost go from playing a strategy and getting beat at it to playing the same strategy and getting beat at it but not by as much. So it will be interesting to see if they continue to try to make progress with this strategy, because they had side selection in game number 2, but they stuck with a red side. So it seems like their strategy is centered around playing this red side draft. And it looked very similar from game 1 to game 2. So we'll see if they decide to stick with the same strategy going into game number 3, despite the fact that they're now down 2-0 in the series.
One thing that I would think maybe might be a good consideration for or the saucy moss in the mid lane is that maybe switch over from Ari to Victor, who's he's played quite a bit so far this year. Could be something interesting as that would get a little bit more damage into that composition. But we'll have to wait and see what alterations are made for Game 3 as we send it to a break. But when we come back, that draft will be ready for you. And for what might be the last ever draft in for Runeterra Academy on stream, we bring to you Game 3 of these finals between OMT Chronos and Noah Frost. If you're just tuning in, thank you, welcome. We had since 2-0 OMT Chronos. Not as dominant quite in Game 2 as they were in Game 1. Definitely signs of life from Noah or Frost at the very least as we start to get draft underway now.
Yeah, I think that in game number 2, the progress made for Noah or Frost was pretty good. They were kind of playing on a more level playing field. It was like an actual battle instead of more like a massacre. But at the end of the day, OMT Chronos still able to come away with the victory there. And the Mordekaiser ban is going to be the swap here, which means that the Kindred is open this time. Noah Frost electing to go to red side one more time. So this is the hill that they are willing to die on, that the red side is the side of the draft that they have the best chance on. But once again, it's just going to be the Nautilus first pick for thereby also.
I mean, in terms of contested picks, I see why. I mean, Nautilus being the most played champion by both Thereby also and Night Creed. And it's a relatively safe first pick. I mean, you know what you're going to be getting out of Nautilus. All that CC and team fighting prowess. Definitely not a bad first pick. Because Alistar's to respond.
Yeah, and I think that we've also seen the effectiveness that Thereby also has on the Nautilus, and that's been a major point of the series, really. Especially with the major team fights finding big depth charge onto multiple members. But it's maybe going to be the Jarvan here. So switching up the order, putting the jungler priority a little bit higher this time for No Frost, and picking up that Jarvan, which is going to help with the engage.
Yeah, that much is certain. I really did like the Sejuani from Pack of Paul last time out, though. Definitely showed some prowess on that pick, as Ari's going to be the hover and we get switched to Vex. And once more, we have Vex again, but we won't see the first 3 picks because Mordekaiser not on the table.
Yeah, I think that we might see a top lane. Oh, it's the Gwen, so it's a jungle pick here for Acid, potentially. I mean, it's always possible to flex the Gwen towards the top lane, but I would expect that to go into the jungle for Acid. So that means that the second round of bans is going to open up a little bit more for No Frost, as they've been focusing a lot on banning out Acid, but this time around they're going to have some extra bans to work with against Kenrick or against Brooks.
I was having a bit of a small celebration on my own there. I was seeing the Victor hover and I was like, yes, lock it in. That is what I called for before we went to the break last time out. I was kind of hoping that I could say called it, but not quite there, as we get quickly through the second round of bans. Ezreal, Darius, Malphite, and Kled all being taken away one after the other. So already we're straight into the second round of picks pretty much instantly.
Yeah, so the Malphite ban is a little bit interesting here, given the Gwen and Vex pickups. I mean, Malphite just works in most team comps anyways, because he's just got press R for engage, but it's not like there's a particularly high amount of auto attack, especially AD focused champions on this team. But it looks like the Aatrox is the pick that Kenrick wanted to go with, so that makes a lot more sense of why you would want to ban the Malphite, just to avoid that matchup. And now showing all sorts of different picks that would be pretty funky to see in that bottom lane role, but we'll see what OMT Chronos settle on here.
Or to settle on Zeri. I figure it would make the most sense. Zeri, obviously a big factor in last week's series that we were able to see ourselves. So it makes sense that that's going to be picking up their Aphelios hover, though, for No Frost.
It could be just the handshake here with the Jinx, but I'd like to see something that punishes Zeri in lane a little bit more. Tristana maybe has the potential to do that, but we haven't seen enough of the punishing coming through from No Frost in the bot lane when they have these advantages. So I'll be looking to see if they can set up some ganks. Zeri, still a very slippery champion, but less slippery than Ezreal. So I think that there's maybe a slightly better chance of ganks working out. And the scaling this time is really big from No Frost. So if they're able to get into the late game with the Ornn, Orianna, it's going to be very difficult to deal with just the power of this team fight with the long range engage that they've got, and with a bit more damage this time around. I mean, it's still not like a whole lot, but Jarvan's got some, Ornn's got some, Orianna and Tristana for sure are going to be doing plenty as well. But OMT Chronos has reverted right back to the 4-role carry draft. They've got Kenrick going to still have the potential to carry on this Aatrox. You've got the Zeri for Brooks is going to be even a greater carry potential. Acid's Gwen speaks for itself, and Bender has just been solid all around on the Vex so far this series, finding some pretty solid Shadow Surges. So we'll see if that's going to be a continual theme into game number 3, or if No Org Frost revamping the draft a little bit will help them take a game off of OMT Chronos and force us to a game number 4.
Yeah, I do like the change of mid laners though. I'm not picking up that Ori. I mean, Orianna with Jarvan and Alistar going to be able to land those shockwaves fairly easily with the help of his teammates, the ball delivery service as it was, and so getting that little extra bit of more AOE damage, I think, is going to I mean, in terms of last game, may have even been enough to even swap it into their favor. But looking at OMT Chronos once more, I mean, we Kinrick no longer on the Mordekaisers was banned, but still lots of damage coming from OMT Chronos. You really only have to find 2 targets, and then that's it.
Yeah, and with so many threats, it could be hard in team fights for No Org Frost to process who they want to target. They've got a lot of AoE, so they don't necessarily have to only target one person at all times. But if they don't find the necessary targets, if they allow Brooks on the Zeri to find the right spacing, especially, I think that the state that Zeri's in is very dangerous to allow to roam free. So there needs to be someone making sure that Brooks is going to be under control in team fights. But you also have to be aware of any flank that can come out from Kenrick or Acid here onto the back line. You got to know who's tagged with the Shadow Surge and make sure that there's no resets. There's just so many things to keep track of. And under optimal circumstances, I'd say No Org Frost definitely going to win a team fight with this draft. But it's just so hard to outplay and so hard to play against players like OMT Chronos has that are going to perform at a high level on the champions. And certainly a high level would be expected from No Org Frost as well. But just tracking all of the individual things can cause a difficulty. And I feel like that's not the same difficulty being replicated on the other side.
Yeah. I think that's also kind of a semi-important time to bring up. Do you know how it is slightly a bit of a joke? Do you know how Cage Roll assessed who won draft, like drafted?
I don't know exactly.
Okay, so how you assess who had the better draft is what you want to do is you want to take which season the champion was released in. You add up the total of both compositions, and the higher number wins draft. But definitely something that's relevant on the side of OMT Chronos' composition with, I mean, Aatrox, who were still relatively recent in the span of 12 years, so.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, is it whoever has Zillion wins the chance?
Yeah, know, speaking of Zillion, something completely not completely off topic. Speaking of Zillion, I was kind of hoping like the OMT Chronos would lock in Zillion one of these times, because Chronos, the Titan of time and Greek mythology. Yeah, okay, never mind that. Either way,
that would be very thematic. It would make sense. I'm tracking with you, Sun Praising. I think that would have been pretty quality, but at the same time, want to be picking the best champs to win the game. They're not messing around here, looking for the 3-0 and going for the throat. So we'll see if they're able to come away with the win here in game number 3.
Yeah, but we're going to have to wait on that as we've hit the spectator delay. But when we come back, we will bring to you game 3 between OMT Chronos and No Org Frost. As a reminder, it is match point for OMT Chronos. We'll see you when we load onto the road. Yeah, it was. I forget which LPL like game was reviewing. It was just like, okay, so what you want to do to?
Hey, but which season did Jinx come out in though?
Shoot, like, probably like 4-ish. I don't know. I know I wasn't playing at the time, so.
I had like just started playing, so you're probably right. It was probably 2014.
Yeah, I really miss the login screens though, because it's like when I think about like was like we're like, oh yeah, when did you start playing? I was like, shoot, I don't know the exact day, but I know Pulse Fire Caitlyn was the login screen, so that's the time frame we're looking at.
Yeah, I love the classic arcade skin login screens.
Yeah, wait, I was about to say we might have hot mics considering that we're not. We have loaded onto the Rift for Game 3 between OMT Chronos and No Org Frost, and it is a do or die situation for No Org Frost. Have yet to find their first win in these two games, and we just might be grabbing the brooms for what is expected to be the last stream with the Runeterra Academy branding tiger.
Yeah, I mean,
hold on, Pack a Paul, is he in chat? Hold on, wait. Dredgeline will come through. Now stunned up with the snare. There it is. First blood going over to Acid just 1 minute in. So, advantage OMT Chronos.
Minions have
Yeah,
spawned.
you'll have to forgive me for saying this, but it's like clockwork.
Ah,
We see we're
ah.
seeing acid performing in every game, and getting that first blood. I mean, also those hooks from thereby also. It's just consistency at its finest, and going to have that 500 gold lead to begin the game, and that's not the position I'm sure that Noah Frost saw themselves in when they were looking at going into game 3 and trying to pull one out here and extend the series.
Oh, and on that recall as well, Dark Seal picked up by Acid, looking very confident on this Gwyn pick. Now he's able to get it again. That being said, Pekapol looking for maybe a level 2 gank in mid lane, but he goes walking up. Yeah, not going to be able to find it.
Yeah, it's good to see that on a Jarvan, but now we seeing a little bit of the interaction between the supports. That's kind of what I expected
Bring it
out
down
of
a
an
notch.
Alistar, is just to be able to respond to the engage by kicking them right back out. So that's definitely something that you like to see, but that's going to be something that gonna have to be a little bit consistent in a way that is difficult to do.
Yet
When you're
another
up.
dredge line from thereby also landing every last one. So he's low. He's not 100%. I mean, not much follow up going to be available this early on, but still, it's about sending a message. It's about sending a message type.
Yeah, and also maybe about trying to find some summoner spells off the enemy team. I mean, you never know when Acid's going to show up in your lane and try to steal all your kills. So we'll see if the lane gank pans out here. But I think that it's going to be difficult to get it to work.
Yeah, especially as they'll see Pack-a-Pole now. So two ganks really, or at least two gank attempts early on from Pack-a-Pole. And, you know, it's definitely something you want to do as Jarvan, but has largely been unable to find a successful gank so far here.
Yeah, and that kind of speaks to the
Vascular,
quality.
though, just going to find a really good trade up onto Kinrick, though. Going to feel really nice. Not going to have much damage after those abilities have been used, but still really good and held on. Nightcree just might be caught out in a very difficult position there, taking down to about half health, and with Brooks and thereby also still being very healthy. Going to feel going to be able to probably be able to push this wave back out at the very least.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, with all of this gank attention that hasn't resulted, now we got
went straight over. Brooks going low. The stun's going to land. DM for scholarship. Does he not have? He must have used the rocket jump earlier because I didn't use it there. I was kind of expecting that to be the kill onto Brooks, but I guess not.
It's a little bit of dangerous territory to go past the enemy minion lines, especially up against the Nautilus. You don't know when that hook's going to come back online, but whatever the case, so far this series, we expected to see the main focus for Noah Frost be in the bot lane, but they haven't been able to convert that advantage that they supposedly were going to have into anything meaningful, as Brooks and thereby also have been absolutely keeping pace, if not going ahead in trades, especially throughout the laning phase. But the biggest thing has been just absorbing the pressure of these ganks and not falling for them. It's just been so hard for anything to come from Pack-a-Pole coming towards that bottom side of the map, even from Rome's coming out as well from the mid lane. And that's kind of like when you invest all those resources and aren't able to come up with the kills, that takes a lot of the life out of your gold income. And that's been the first stepping stone on the way to these gold leads developing, as we're right back out to 1,000 gold lead for OMTC.
Yeah, and it just might get a bit larger here. Saucy Moss going to find himself at the wrong end of a gank. That being said, that extra speed up and slows are going to be enough for him to just walk it out. And with this bot lane pushing and this Infernal Drake now coming up, Pack-a-Pole is still very low, though. Perhaps Acid can try to find a steal. Close, not quite enough, though, as the Drake will be claimed by Nowhere Frost. And actually, there's no way we don't actually get any kills there. I am a bit surprised and also kind of disappointed that there wasn't an ensuing fight, but still very well played and a lot of patience shown by Nowhere Frost to be able to pick up that first neutral objective.
Yeah, a little bit surprising that Eagle Bender comes up a bit short on the Shadow Surge, but not going to be able to tag that, and just a nice disengage. So good play from Nowhere Frost, going to be able to pick themselves up this first Drake and not pay anything too much the price on the back end of it.
Yeah, and you know, and then not really having to pay anything for that. I mean, with Oriana Tristana, definitely going to be looking to scale up a bit more. And even though you say typically Jarvan doesn't scale all that well, I mean, I don't think that's too much of a concern for this game, as I would imagine he's mostly going to be I deliver the shockwave for you sort of role in this game.
Yeah, I think that he's going to feel really good once he picks up that Gore Drinker. It's a lot of bruisers in the front line instead of tanks.
Oh, hold on. DM for Scholarship going to get caught by the dredge line and has to rocket jump away without much damage coming in return. Maybe there's not quite enough damage to find the kills there. However, Acid's sending Pack-a-Pole very low, jumping forward. Is it enough? Flag and drag away, and a flash from Gas Dealer will keep them alive for now. That being said, this top half of the map is completely just owned by OMT Chronos.
Yeah, Acid is taking away enemy jungle camps as if they are his own, and just owning the whole area. I mean, the proxy coming through right now, even from Kenrick, and now they're going to collapse.
Come forward, Call the Forge God used, and won't be able to get the second hit of that. And so all the while, dredge line missing from thereby also, and without any CC left, DM for Scholarship's going to pick up the kill in the 2v2 in the bot lane.
Yeah, that's
and Shockwave use, hold on, Saucy Boss trying to follow the all-in onto Eagle Bender, not quite enough burst to get that kill there just yet. So across the map, fights everywhere, but a 1-for-1 at the end of the day.
An unfortunate mistake in the bot lane 2v2, and that's going to be a kill that feels really nice on DM for Scholarship. That's been a closely contested lane thus far in the game, but now with that extra kill, it's going to be a pretty decent size advantage going over to the bot lane of Nowhere Frost. But on the other side, the dive coming through, well executed strike once again. 2-0 now for Acid, and just continues to grow the gold lead. We'll see if they are going to be looking to continue fighting. I mean, this has been one of the more quiet games thus far in the series. Only 3 kills in the first 9.5 minutes, but still a decent sized lead developing for OMT Chronos.
I also expect Acid to look top here, especially since that Earth's gone down 2 plates would be enough to claim first turret really early on in this game. And considering he hasn't recalled yet after taking that Rift turret and moving up the lane, I would expect to see that coming in these next few seconds even.
Yeah, Gas Stealer is going to have to evacuate the scene, otherwise it's going to be a problem. But here comes the Hex Flash.
Yeah, Nightku trying to find the way in. Pack-a-Pole will force the flash out of Eagle Bender and straight over to the bot lane. We're seeing now DM for Scholarship trying to find the all-in onto Brooks, but now without any of those cooldowns available, we'll get that confirmation that the tier 1 turret is claimed by OMT Chronos, but that was to be expected, as DM for Scholarship going to get marked by the dredge line, and now Depth Charge will flash away there to keep himself alive. So getting that big summoner spell out of the enemy bot lane going to feel very good for OMG Chronos, as well as on top of their massive gold lead that's starting to build now.
Yeah, they're able to punish the roam coming out from Nightbreed, so that's going to mean flashless for DM for a little bit of time here with this Hex Tech Drake coming up as well. That's going to make it a lot more difficult to contest. And now it seems that everyone's roaming towards the bot side of the map.
Shadow Surge marked onto Pack-a-Pulp, but Eagle Bender won't take that. And with the Drake now live, that's going to be one fairly big cooldown not available for the side of OMT Chronos for this ensuing fight. Or at least I would imagine that we get an ensuing fight, because we have all 5 members here. That being said, 2 on the Shockwave will find 2 kills straight at the beginning of this fight. Pack-a-Pulp not quite being able to be taken down as DM for Scholarship tries to find Eagle Bender. Saucy Moss going to be the one who claims that, so 3 for nothing going over to No Orc Frost. And for the first time this series, they lead in the kill count.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty nice. And they're going to, if they can pick up this Drake, although Acid's still alive, they're going to be up 2-0 on the Drake count as well. So they're going to be looking towards Cloud Soul this game, potentially going to be the idea. And with that, they're going to have the
DM for Scholarship, trying to go all in here. Will be exhausted, so won't find the lethal damage that will find its way onto Brooks. That being said, taking the enemy AD carry very low, and with the wave being shoved in, or well, now frozen as it was, and with Acid coming through, still really good at the end of the day from DM for Scholarship, showing that he has the ability. Okay, not quite from Night Creed. I do like the angle though that they took to take there.
Yeah, so despite the fact that there's a bit of gold deficit right now,
knocked up, and without much of a team being able to help him out early on, will be able to become immune for these next few seconds. Pack-a-Pulp going low, actually at the bottom of the side of this fight. Night Creed's going down, but that's going to be a shutdown for DM for Scholarship. Saucy Moss now going to have his live taken, and with the Honey Fruit available, Brooks will be healthy enough. That being said, thereby also going to find his way getting taken down by DM for Scholarship, but it's not enough to pick up the double kill. Brooks being able to pick up that one there with hardly any health remaining, though I do like the attempt from DM for Scholarship.
Yeah, at least picking up one there, so about even trade on numbers all around. But at the end of the day, I think that's going to be a trade that's not all that pivotal on the outcome of the match. But picking up the kill onto Acid is always nice for No Orc Frost. They're going to be still hovering around this mid lane. A lot of the team grouping up now, which constrains the number of resources that you're getting, but also provides a little bit of extra safety, so definitely understandable in this situation. But now the invade coming through from OMT Chronos, going to try to expand some more in the gold domain, where they still hold the lead by a pretty significant margin.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Just top lane alone with the DS difference, you feel really good. That being said, DM for Scholarship knows that there's no exhaust in this bot lane now, taking a tower shot and not quite finding the kill just yet onto Brooks. So you'd have to feel that these 1v1s are very, very Tristana favored at this point in the game.
Yeah, Tristana always pretty decent in 1v1s with the explosive shot.
This one isn't
this is no 1v1.
This is no 1v1. And the busted shot will knock away the enemy AD carry, and it's not quite enough on the explosive charge to pick up the 1-for-1 there. So really good stuff from thereby also to keep his AD carry alive. Here comes Night Creed. No way he tries this, right? Flashes over that dredge line. Will be able to pick up the kill and return onto Brooks. So I guess at the end of the day, it is a 1v1. A bit delayed there, but either way, still the case.
Yeah, I think these supports kind of flexing, but now a collapse on the top side developing.
You're saying to the top side, Acid does find the slows onto Gas Dealer, and Gas Dealer, I mean, where does he go? Can he really go anywhere? No, he can't. It's straight back to base after a gray screen, and that will open up this Rift Herald to maybe be taken once again by OMT Chronos.
Yeah, they're going to be in good position with that. Second Rift Herald not as good as the first one, but still going to be able to get pressure on the map. And maybe to stop some of this Drake stacking, that could be important here for OMT Chronos, down 2-0 on the Drake front. They're going to want to put that down, get some extra gold as well. Now Kenrick going to be in position to fight DM for scholarship.
Yeah, I mean, but the rocket jump is available and to be getaway. That being said, Packapole might be in a little bit of a dangerous situation himself. He uses the flag and drag, will be able to get out.
Yeah, a little bit too slippery to take any of these champions out. But Kenrick able to protect the tower at the very least. And now still going forward, potentially starting a fight on Packapole.
Going to be knocked twice in the sweet spot of the Aatrox Q, going to have to flash away, and actually just might be caught out once more. Depth charge going to find him. That being said, he's far enough away. DM for scholarship though, bit of a strange spot. Will get hit by that dredge line. Brooks picking up the kill onto the enemy carry at the start of this fight. That being said, the 2 kills now going back over to the side of Nowhere Frost, but it's not enough to find the kill onto Brooks, but it is enough to it's not enough to find the kill onto Eagle Bender, actually. And so now with their mid laner still alive and Brooks being able to safely attack here, will be taken down by Gas Dealer, but it's a very well taken fight from OMT Chronos. So you have to feel that Gas Dealer will go down now, as it's an ace for OMT Chronos.
Yeah, that fight lasted such a long time, but Acid never got focused up by the side of Nowhere Frost, and they weren't able to finish off the kill onto Brooks, so not able to find the kills onto the right carries, and the punished for it is Nowhere Frost, as OMT Chronos able to take a tower on the back end as well. Gold lead extending up now near 5,000 gold. And trying to get some more charges out of the Rift Herald as the Cloud Drake's live.
The M for scholarship's gone low, but the Saucy Moss did commit that teleport, and as he said, with that Drake live, and OMT Chronos haven't reset just yet. Flag and Dragon, Packapole will steal the Cloud Drake. That being said, it might be coming at the cost of Night Creed, and it does. So at the end of the day, still 1 kill taken back by OMT Chronos, but that'll be sole point for Nowhere Frost.
Yeah, and this is a kind of an interesting philosophical question about what to do here as either side. I mean, taking that Soul Drake is always going to feel nice to have that extra value that you get out of the soul, but that means that Elder Drake is coming up afterwards, and you absolutely have to fight for Elder Drake. You give up that Elder buff, that just makes it impossible to go anywhere on the map that you don't have absolute security. So I think that there's argument for both sides, but I feel like any situation where it's not guaranteed that you can at least take a fight at Elder, you don't really want to give it the chance to spawn. So and if it was the Hextech Soul, maybe it would be different, but with Cloud Soul, I don't know if it's good enough soul to justify allowing Elder Drake onto the map.
Cloud Drake's very situational, but I think that there's a composition that, at least there's champions that really like having that extra move speed after casting ultimate. Hold on, Night Creed going to get tagged by the... Oh no, the Blast Cone betrays him. Acid picking up that first kill, and now Packapole goes down, but currently under the tower and not able to find that reset on the Shadow Surge. We'll see Brooks taking so many tower shots and finally getting taken down by the Saucy Moss, picking up the kill there on the Orianna. And Dredgeline will cash out the Saucy Moss though. Trade of kills is enough. DM for scholarship very low. Call Forge God will find the knock up into Eagle Bender, but will be enough damage. No, it's not. A bit too far forward for DM for scholarship. And now with this turret going down, Gas Dealer maybe not getting out fast enough. Will just dash away there, but a 4-for-2 fight taken by OMT Chronos.
Yeah, OMT Chronos right where they expected to be now. I mean, they've been taking scrappy fights all game long. We had the quiet beginning where it was like 2-1 for 10 minutes, but now we're firmly in the area where battling is on the table. OMT Chronos know what they can do with their champions, and they're not afraid to go out and do it. And now with the gold lead continuing to increase, it's getting in a spot where Nowhere Frost really needs to be selective about what fights that they want to take. I mean, they've still got great champions for big team fights, especially if they can funnel people into a choke point. but they can't just be fighting anywhere and anytime whenever OMT Chronos comes back out to their side of the map, because that's going to be problematic. And now the Baron is going to be available for the side of OMT Chronos.
Yeah, it's live now, but I'm not quite sure it's something that you can really force at this point. The amount of damage that Baron does, especially at around 20 minutes relatively, is very high. And speaking of choke points, if you want to talk about fighting in choke points, Baron Pit often tends to be one of them. And actually now, Pack-a-Paul won't quite be able to find them in Flag and Drag onto the enemy jungler. That being said, Acid's a bit of a tough spot now. The Call of Forge Rod will land the knockup, but he's staying alive. Will it be enough? Teleport through from Kinrick. And actually on the back end of this fight, Eaglebender gets the kill onto Saucy Moss. So a great flank from OMT Chronos will pick up 2 kills now, and there's nothing that Nowhere Cross can do for the rest of this fight. And it's a 4-for-0, trying to find the 5. Not quite being able to get it, as they're going to run straight to Baron surely now.
Yeah, and by all rights, that should have been a 5-for-0 ace, but the perfect timing on the flash was able to avoid the follow-up damage without bringing the Vex all the way in. So nice job there by Pack-a-Paul, but it's small consolation when it's going to be the Baron giving up here and the OMT Chronos lead expanding past 11,000.
Yeah, and well, it was definitely a bit closer this time around, a bit more back and forth, even though OMT Chronos largely controlled the map and had a gold lead for a significant portion of this game. I had to feel like that might be the fight that blows this game wide open.
Yeah, well, we definitely have seen OMT Chronos accelerate leads into victory time and time again. Now the Drake is live. This is the soul available for No Orc Frost if they want to contest it, but I don't see how they do it, and it looks like they will not be able to. So there's no philosophical debate if there's no even option to go towards that soul. So first Drake of the game picked up by OMT Chronos. They're going to be looking to continue to push with this Baron buff. They're going to try to take down some tier 2 towers here, especially in this bot lane. That one's very vulnerable to being taken down. There should be no problem here, and that's going to just continue to influx gold. The gold comes in the mid lane and bot lane off of these towers, and now they're going to be pushing towards the tier 3s.
Yeah, and with 2 lanes getting shoved in and so much of an advantage in terms of resources on their champions, it's going to be very difficult for Nowhere Cross to really clear these out. I mean, other than Orianna and Tristana, there's no large amount of damage. I mean, Castiel, I guess, can do a decent amount of damage to a wave, but it'll be a bit difficult when you have all these members just throwing poke out left, right, and center.
Yeah, a good job defending the towers there. I feel if the tower in the mid lane had fallen, it would have been followed up immediately by a big team fight, and right now that looks like it would very much be going in favor of OMT Chronos.
Here comes the call of the Forge Guard. Oranhorn used, but it'll only find one, and actually the Orianna Saucy Moss taken down at the start of this fight, and with only the Tristana left alive, that's Night Creed going down, and really, you have to feel that this is looking even more and more dire by the second board. No Orc Frost. Load up.
I think it's over now, son. This is
actually,
gonna be
it is over.
Chronos.
Surely it has to be. There it is, without any teammates left alive. Currently a 2v5. It seems as if they have just conceded themselves to defeat. As there it is, OMT Chronos, clean sweep in the junior finals. Our champions of this third semester here in the Runeterra Academy, and I guess our definitive winners now, considering this unless things change, unless situation change, that this will be the last branded Runeterra Academy stream.
Well, the Kings have reclaimed their throne, and it's going to be a 3-0 for OMT Chronos as they finish out the season with an emphatic tournament victory. And I think that this is probably what was the most likely outcome according to most people. But I think that Norwood Frost, at least it was good to see them continuing to fight throughout this series. They weren't able to come out on top of any of the matches, but they were still in them. They were going for plays. They even built up a small lead at one point in this third game, but just not enough to challenge the top team that we've had all along in the junior division in OMT Chronos.
Yeah, definitely the case. I do say that even though I do want to congratulate OMT Chronos, I do have to agree with you. Norwood Frost were definitely a worthy opponent to the tournament favorites, and even though it'll go down as a sweep, I think they can at the very least hold their heads high with their performance in that series, and to even just make the finals. But we are going to send it to a break, but when we come back, we will have an interview with the entirety of OMT Chronos, and we'll see you then. And we are live with the plague staff of OMT Chronos. We weren't quite able to get Hirsch in here, the coach, but welcome in every champions of semester. Oh wait, is that?
No, that was a joke. Hirsch is not our coach.
Oh, oh, no, yeah.
Back.
Yeah. Oh God, my head. It didn't. I don't know why that didn't click for me. Shoot. Well.
I'm just the manager, man.
Oh gosh, I don't know why it didn't click in my head that. Sorry, Hirsch.
Oh.
Brain head empty, brain small.
All good.
Well, anyway, congratulations to you guys all on your victory. And coming back after having the roster modified in the season 2, bringing back Acid in season 3, how did that impact your chances of winning this season?
So, I mean, it just guaranteed us the win, 100%.
100%?
There you go.
100%.
By the way, anybody could answer at any time or really say anything, or well, not anything. I mean,
anything.
I will say, yeah,
there is a Twitch terms of service, but outside of that, feel free.
Now I'm gonna start answering your questions, son.
Oh shoot! Oh damn!
Thank you, Tiger.
All right. Well, shoot. I actually did not come prepared with questions. Damn
That's
it, Tiger.
okay.
Damn it,
I
Tiger.
can
This
come
is
up
normally your
with
job.
questions on the fly. This is my specialty. All right. So in the series, you kind of stomped game 1, but going into game 2, seeing that they stuck with red side, what was the thoughts going into draft?
They're trolling.
We thought maybe they had like an answer to something bot lane, or that maybe they wouldn't like pick a defensive support again. Like maybe they had something they were gonna like try to pinch Nautilus with, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they chose red side. I'd be curious.
Yeah, I mean, game 2 was, what did they first pick? Was it the Alistar and then the R2 Ari?
Yeah.
Crazy. Woo.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Pretty out there.
Yeah, I think so we actually, the first time around when we played them, because obviously they're from Group 3. Group 3 is the best.
Mm-hmm.
When we played them in the regular season, we played them week 7. And when we played them the first time around, we were supposed to play on Sunday, and they had like an issue or something. Their top wasn't there. They had a sub. And I remember telling my team that I was watching a lot of teams play, and I thought that Norwalk Frost would be our only competition going into playoffs. So we actually rescheduled to play them on the Monday after, and they agreed to it. So, and yeah, instead of taking the FF win, because I really, really wanted to play against them, I thought this is our only competition. Either we're going to play them on our way to finals, or we're going to play them in finals. And I wanted to make sure that if there was ever a world where they could take a game off of us and beat us, I wanted to know before we make it into playoffs. And then after we TO'd them in the regular season, I think at least I personally felt like there's nothing they can really do to surprise us that's gonna beat us. It should be a pretty straightforward standard 3-0. So after game 1, everything went according to plan, and then game 2, they just let us play the exact same thing. Early pick the Mordekaiser, early pick the Vex. So I don't know. Game 2 it just felt like they were trolling, and we just get to play the game the same way. And then game 3, game 3 they switched it up. They went for like a more wombo, but I think it was just too late.
I also knew coming into this series that we were expecting Norwalk Frost to focus a lot around the bot side, but you kind of neutralized that in the first game, and then there was never really throughout the series any opportunity for them to get big leads through their bot lane. How did you figure out how to deal with that?
They picked Brome. We didn't figure anything out. Brome is a support that doesn't really do much for ganks.
Brome is dog water.
Like, he's an okay situational support, but you shouldn't just blind him if you want to like prio and all in your bot lane. And then they also had Wukong jungle, who has no setup pre-6. So
they were just way too obvious in their ganks. I literally knew he was there every time he was there, like without seeing him.
Game 3,
we opened their stream. We were stream sniping.
Yeah, we're just stream sniping practically.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
We gotta report.
No. No, I mean, some bot lanes kind of have that style where they just like roll over you, where they'll pick like Tristana and engage support, and we've done that before, definitely. But you can kind of weather the storm if you pick like a poke champion and just get them low enough to where it's kind of difficult for them to engage. then
It's just the
it kind of
Nautilus, dude.
neutralizes a lot of that. And then Nautilus is always helpful to starting things off. So we always feel like we have agency in 2v2.
Mm.
And then game
Well, you
3 first
guys-
strike.
First strike?
Yeah. First strike was it was on purpose, of course, and it worked, and we won. So
Yeah, I saw chat going a little bit wild about that for a moment, but ended up not making a big difference in the end. But for sure, you guys ended up playing out the series in a manner that proved that you were the top of the table. But I want to hear from you guys if you think that the majority of your success is coming from being better working as a team or just being individually better than all of the other players.
Both.
Our success comes from the fact that I hate my teammates. I want to end the game as fast as
as
possible.
soon as possible. I hate the
Right.
The moment we get into game and I hear their
love it.
voices, I'm like, get me out, get me out, get me out. Let's just win. Let's just get this over with.
Have you ever played like a hentai game?
Oh,
Okay, here's where I'm going with this. Okay, you know how like your main character can like control girls sometimes? I wouldn't know because I don't play these games. But
See
essentially,
what I mean? See what I mean?
I mind control my teammates to just listen to my calls no matter what, and that's why you'll see me invading and my mid laner be there before anyone else.
Yep.
Oh,
He just
I
whips
see.
me. But I think jokes aside though, I think we are a little bit of an Exodia team where I think individually we're really good, but then when we play together, we're just greater than the sum of our parts. And we play really well together. Obviously, because we keep winning, our mental is super good. There's been a ton of times where, I mean, almost every game, I just go for a random play mid game and I die. Enemy team gets like Baron or something, and we don't care. The morale is still good. The calls are still clean. Like, let's just do this next. There's never a point in the game really where we don't know what we want to do, and everyone's just always on board, on the same page. So we just work super well together, and we're on top of that, we're great players.
All right, fair enough. You guys planning on going and repping at Amateur Worlds and winning that thing for Runeterra Academy?
Well, we won't drop a game.
Okay, I got unmuted. I'm back.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Oh yeah,
We're
that's
actually
the
gonna
other thing.
scrim. We've played like 2 scrims all season. We're actually gonna scrim a couple times, dude. I don't even know what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, we were actually really trying because we, the whole concept of Platinum Worlds is really interesting and like it brings a lot of fun and excitement to the table. And so we actually practiced every week these past 3 weeks instead of just like not practicing, which is what we've done every other season.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely want to go to Worlds and win Worlds. And I think the other thing too about us being good players, I think our prep is good. I think we, for example, like Sion, every team they go up against Gas Dealer, and obviously he's really good on Sion, but Sion is a champion that's so punishable, and we're already always prepared for these sort of like strong picks. I mean, against what was it called? The Crow Storm, they went like Shen top, Ornn top. Like we never had to ban these champions, even though these champions are like perma banned against the other teams. So on top of us just being good players, I think we prepare really well into the teams that we're facing. And even now, before we play their match tonight, I was already looking at the teams that have qualified for Worlds, and I'm already ready to play
Shaking in
them.
my boots.
People were talking about Doritos, Zeta, or something. I've looked them up. They look like garbage. We're going to shit on them if we run into them. I think Worlds is looking pretty good. It's going to be an RA gap, RA supremacy.
RA supremacy. Well, that's all of the questions that I had in mind for you. Sun Praising, got anything?
Do you think the reason why Runeterra Academy is merging with Aegis is because we're just too strong as a league, or?
I think there is some, how do you say, je ne sais quoi going on behind the scenes between Var High and maybe Ed Red. That's all I'm saying.
No, I honestly, interviewing and questions have never really been my strong suit, so I don't have any serious questions for you guys. So with that, thank you for.
Can I say something?
Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
Just want to shout out this spineless. Oh wait, can I swear?
Yeah, that's an
Yeah, someone
admin
do.
question.
Red, type. Wait. All right, well, whatever. I just want to, it's the last season anyway. I just want to call it this fucking brain dead fucking no slur. Is brain dead a slur?
No.
No. Okay.
Just
So
get it out. Oh my god.
this brain dead fucking no life mid laner who fucking can't answer
Thank
a
you.
simple question. How does Ari outscale Syndra? You know who you is. Your name shall not be fucking said tonight because we are the
Get 'em.
champions. And guess what? You guys didn't even get third place. Fake
Wow.
third seed.
Even if you said their name, nobody knows who they are. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
So
you got muted. Can I give a real shout out? I want to give a shout out, obviously, to you guys, the casters, wearing nice suits. I feel respected. I can't believe you guys dressed up for this occasion, for this 3-0. I am honored. And obviously, Red, I think RA has been the best amateur league I've played in. It's been so much fun. All the teams that have participated, despite the shit talk, I think I have a lot of respect for a lot of teams. Like I said, I think Norwich Frost was our second competition. There's just a canyon between us and them, but I still think they're a good team. And it's disappointing that they can't go to Worlds because I think it would have been really nice to play them again at Worlds. And obviously, Red and Ivor and everyone else that's been working on Worlds, ever since I started playing amateur tournaments, that's always been something that I thought would be so awesome, so cool to be a part of. So huge props to them and huge thanks to them for setting this whole league up and Worlds on top of that. Super excited for it.
Oh, awesome. I as well am excited for Worlds. I'm not quite sure if I'll be there, but either way, we'll be looking forward to see you, well, at least for one last time, bring home a victory across all of North America's amateur leagues to Runeterra Academy. But until then, this has been the final, as till further notice, Runeterra Academy stream. And for everyone who has come through, I thank you for tuning in and being a part of everything, as well as I think we've already got a lot of the shout outs done already, so that's a lot of my aspects done through. But yeah, Tiger and Wookie Monster specifically for both being the color caster and producer for tonight. And well, I'd say see you again, but
Wait. We still have the draw.
Wait, we do
the skin draw.
Yes, of course.
The
raffle. Of course. I forgot about that. The raffle. That's right. If you have points, channel points, if you have 1,000 channel points, I don't know if entries are still accepted, but 1,000.
No, it's already been spun. So
It's
PBS,
been,
PBS is in a scrim. So he spun the wheel, and he told me to announce the winner. But when he told me the winner, kind of just didn't want to announce it anymore.
It's gotta be Acid.
Yeah, Acid won. Congrats, Acid. I'm still not gonna unmute you. I'm not gonna unmute you because you're being fucking cringe on the stream. But yeah, congrats.
All right. Well, that's one way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
he fucking cheated for sure.
If there's someone worthy of sending off the stream for final time, Red, take it away.
So in this long 1-year journey that was Runeterra Academy, I'm gonna pat myself on the back a little bit and say, like, definitely put on best league. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. We grew so fast because of the amazing community that we built here, and the hard work that we put in. I'm excited to keep going forward with Aegis. So I'm not leaving the scene. I'll still be, doing the in-house server whenever we get those bots fixed, and Amateur Worlds will be my main tournament that I'll oversee. So that'll be fun, and I will always be around. You can always DM me if you guys want. Big shout outs to PBS, Wookie, and Hirsch. They have been absolute rocks for me this whole time. Especially,
they've been weighing you down.
No. I mean, like, I don't think I could count. I don't think I could count on anyone as much as I could count on those three. Like, it's really hard to find people in the scene that actually do stuff. So, because there's a lot of people that just want staff positions, and then when you give it to them, they don't do anything. So, those three are not like that. They work hard, and I wouldn't be where it is without them. And shout excited for this journey with Aegis, and yeah, hang around. Like, if you like Legends of Runeterra, I'll be, just hit me up. I'll help you out. I'm in touch with, like, literally, I know the faker of Legends of Runeterra. Like, that's how, like, come on, guys, I can hook you up. But other than that, League of Legends has been a big part of my life for the last 8 years, and it's a little emotional for me to, like, move away from it, but I love everyone who played in our leagues and has been part of our streams and been part of this whole thing. So just want to say thank you, and we'll see each other around.
Yeah.
Just DM
We're gonna
me.
win
Just
worlds
DM
for
me.
you, Red.
Yeah, sure. Sure you will.
That didn't sound
Okay,
good.
never mind.
Wait a second.
All right, well, thanks everyone for tuning in. And see you around. Join Aegis for next season if you want the same experience. So